Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I am a master manifester, and so are you. If you're watching content like this, you probably are, right? Therefore, let's get started. I want to talk today about money, right? Money. Ugh. Okay, so I was going through this forgiveness book that I have, and this forgiveness book is for people. It is to forgive people in your life or things that you've encountered that you want to learn how to forgive that you have not yet sifted through. There's a few things that are in there that I don't want to forgive right now. I have no interest. I know that it could possibly be holding me back from manifesting great things in certain areas, but I am not called to forgive in those areas yet. And when I say forgive, it means that deal with them because, you can only deal with so many little areas in your life at one time. So sometimes different things take priority. Something in my life that reoccurs all the time that bothers me is the role that males play and that females play in raising children and how motherhood is treated and how fatherhood is treated and what gets put on a pedestal and what doesn't and all those sort of things. That's something that really just grinds my gears. I ain't ready to deal with it yet, and it really drives me nuts. So I'm going to put it on the back burner for now, but it's going to come up when I least expect it, and it's going to bite me in the butt, and I already know this. But nonetheless, I have a problem with that. It makes me lack respect for the roles in a way that I don't want to lack respect for it. So I need to work on that. But something that's more important to me than that right now in the forgiveness book that I've been using is about money. Money. And because, right, the idea about this was so elusive to me to some degree. I have a friend of mine whose family, her family just recently got into millionaire status, right? And I thought that was so cool. I was like, well, that's pretty interesting, right? Because, well, she kind of works a regular job, if you look at it as regular. And then he sort of, I wouldn't call it a regular job, but kind of has a really good career. But people, even in those realms, they don't always make it to that level. And I was thinking about it, having conversations, and I was like, what is it in the way that they use money and handle it that could teach me something about it? And so that is one of the biggest things. When it comes to money, I had to sift through all of the ideas in my head that were incorrect. And then I had to give some space to it and then forgive myself for thinking those ways. And then forgive myself for not being good at something that I didn't have any training with being good at, right? That's something that I had to learn over a lot of years. So money is one of those things I had to forgive myself with. I had to forgive myself for not getting it right on so many occasions in the past. And what this did was freed me up from beating myself up over spending too much money here or not investing money here or not using enough money in that space or that space. And it also allowed me to take away all of the power that I was giving to money, right? So many people give so much power to money. They put people on pedestals because they have it. They treat others differently when they don't have it. They're willing to give a lot of time and attention of themselves, but they're never willing to give their money to situations. Money controls so much. And it also impacts heavily your well-being and how you move around in this world and what you have access to. So it's not that it's not important. It's just that it shouldn't be placed in a negative light or any negative light that it commonly is. So forgiveness is one thing that I harped on. And then the second one was sort of the thing that I was talking about with a friend of mine. I started paying attention to how other people handle money who were doing well with the money or who had really just reached new levels and new peaks of how much income they had in their lives, right? And I'm not talking about a lump sum. I'm talking about people who have regular income yearly that's past $1 million part. Now, mind you, this is kind of hard for me to even have a discussion on, in a sense of working on a desire of it, because it's so weird. Okay, so of course, no, I would not ever mind being a millionaire. I would not ever mind having $1 million. That would be amazing. And I think that anytime we take the moment to talk that down is when we're dealing with our own securities related to money. Because even if we have these ideas that, that's just too much money, so-and-so has too much money, somebody, what they want to have, that's excessive. You know what I mean? It's not really. It depends on what they want to do with it and how they want to use it. Because think about it. If someone was going to, have $1 million, would you want it in the hands of some wacko who doesn't care anything about the people and places around them at all? Or would you want that money in your hands to where you can do some good in the world with it, right? So I think sometimes people say that they don't want to have access to a lot of money, or they put all these disclaimers out first. But I think it's based on their own insecurities of, first of all, not achieving that milestone yet, because people do that pretty often. They downplay things that they don't have. It's common, like it's okay. But you're just kind of just saying that because you don't have it. And that's a very common thing. And it's okay. It's human beings do this kind of stuff. Money, the amounts of it, people start saying, I'd want $1 million, but 5 million, that's too much. What do you even care? If someone gave you $1 million and they say, here, I'll give you 5 million, what do you even care? So you have to listen to yourself. If you're putting all these limitations on what's enough for you, then that means you are putting a finite time step. You're putting a finite box around what it is that you can attract and what you think belongs in your world and in your space and what you think you can make good use of, right? And one of the biggest things that I noticed in that process was how hard it is to look around at other people who are doing that thing and picking up some quality tips and feedback on how they move around. So this friend of mine that I notice all the time, like I never really paid attention to how they handled money because it never came up. And so she just happened to have the conversation, was telling me about their recent income increase. And I was like, well, that is pretty cool. And then I was just like, I wonder what they're doing with money that I'm not doing or what I could be doing more of, right? Just curiosity. And one of the biggest things that I noticed, really, really big, and this is kind of like just a money talk. I don't have no signs or tips or blah, blah. But I guess it is all tips, right? One of the biggest things that I noticed that they was generous, like extremely generous, like as a family, as a couple, as a mindset, very generous. Some of their political beliefs you might not be into, some of their, mindsets about how they live their life and how they run things. I don't even think the word metaphysics gets mentioned in the household, to be honest with you. So that doesn't even mean anything. But what I did notice and what I gathered, and which was a beautiful thing, is that they are extremely generous. It is not anything you could ask them for, they're going to say yes to it. People need something, someone needs help with anything, someone needs some work done that they don't have the money to pay them for. This family, these people I'm talking about, they will do it. And they will do it without looking for anything in return. And that is a big, big lesson that I notice with a lot of times with a lot of people with dealing with money. They always go on about, what they would use it for, what they wouldn't use it for, who they would give it to, who they wouldn't give it to. And they have this real tight relationship with money. And that's not saying that they're not generous, but that's also saying that they have so many really strict stipulations on how they are using their money. And some of those strict stipulations do not include a high level of generosity, because for some reason the memo got out a long time ago that in order to keep money, then you keep money. And that's not the truth of it, because I used to try to live like that. And every time I would save money and get to a certain point and be like, wow, I'm so excited, I have that amount in the bank. And then once I get to that point, everything in the world would happen. Cars break down, stuff needed to be done around the house, the children needed things. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I'm back at almost zero again. How did that happen? Well, let me tell you, it didn't work by just holding on to what I had, because that's not a real plan for your finances, right? So now my approach is definitely a lot more organic, and I'm a lot more open to seeing how other people handle and operate money, right? Because some people will have you around and they don't want you to succeed in that area. They don't want you to succeed because that's something that they value in themselves. And they feel like you learning to succeed in that area is going to take away from the value that they have in themselves in that area. So they're not necessarily open to teaching you how this money thing actually works and how you can handle it and what you should do with it. But they're really good at talking about others and talking down on them and saying how terrible they are with money, but they're not necessarily helpful. So if you're looking for somebody, or you're looking for a mentorship when it comes to your finances and how to handle it, there's so many resources you can follow online. When it comes to money management. Some of the best metaphysical accounts that I follow when it relates to money are all on YouTube. So if you just type that in, go through and see who fits your style. But the message is generally generally the same. You want to make sure that you have some sort of plan for your finances. Just make sure that you tell yourself when it comes in, it goes there. I have labels on my bank accounts. I think that's cool. So I have an account that's for my daughters and it says launch, right? So I have money that goes in there every month. That's pretty much for me to buy cars for them later when they're old enough to drive, for me to pay college tuitions, whatever, but it's labeled, right? So change the names from like checking account, savings account, like those mean nothing. Label them and have that money going in really specific places. Even if you have to use it and you can't quite get a handle on it yet, it's a good place to start. Now, as far as money goes, I remember a lot of people always talking about, when are my finances going to increase? When is my money going to get better? Why am I paycheck to paycheck? Why is it so hard for me to save as something as simple as $1,000 and keep that in a bank? Whatever it is, whatever level it is. You have to know that it's just your law of attraction. It's just your energy. It's just what you're attracting. You can have access to a lot of money and still don't feel abundant. So it really doesn't matter. You can feel abundant and still have not have a penny to your name and live a really good life. You've seen people in all of these realms. I've seen people that have nothing that seem to travel all around the world all the time. I've seen people that had a lot that refuse to go anywhere that requires them to use some of their money or to move out of the static position that they found themselves in life. But one of the biggest things that I've taken away from that is that when you're really when you're really on the journey to improve your finances and you're really on a journey to kind of create the money lifestyle that you want to have, to where you go in stores and you swipe your card and you don't even look or pay attention, or where it's like days before you remember to check your bank account. It's like, oh yeah, I should check that, right? You want to have you want your bank account to be your friend, your homegirl or your homeboy or whatever, but you don't want it to be you don't want to be married to it, right? You don't want it to be next to you every day. You don't want to wear a ring to symbolize what you all have together, right? You just want a casual relationship with your finances, but a good one. Call it when you need it. When you don't need it, it ain't tripping. It's always there for you. If something comes up, that's the relationship you want to have with your finances. And a lot of times when you really start on that journey, it gets a whole lot worse before it gets better. I don't want to be the one to bear bad news, but it's so true. I can remember in 2019, before the pandemic was started in the US anyway, when they were just talking about this stuff. But the pandemic is kind of like a marker because even the way that I work changed after that. So like 2019, for some reason, I was out of work, which was fine, always was fine, because I was always okay with having enough in the savings account to take care of what I needed. I learned how to work like that and operate like that for many years. So I like to always tell myself I was really, really good at money before I knew it, because I thought being good at money meant you had to have an abundance of it. No, being good at money means you know how to manage the hell out of very little and make it look amazing. And I did that for many, many, many years with my daughters. That's why I can always say, and I worked very little. So you want to talk about who's good with money? Check out somebody who works 15 to 20 hours a week and makes full-time money and is able to still be a stay-at-home mom while they're divorced. That was my life. I was good at that. And I'm still great at it today. I don't have to work that hard anymore, but I know money in that sense of it. I'm really good at how I use it in my environment. That time was a time where things got really, really bad. I didn't know why. I couldn't understand. I was like, everything just seemed like it was going up, 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 up. The work was getting better. The opportunities were getting better. The finances, I was able to do a little more. Then all of a sudden, when that summer hit, I got no phone calls. I got no work. I got no freelance work. I got nothing. And it just kept going. It kept going. It kept going until I depleted my savings account. It kept going. And I was like, this is insane. I'm doing everything right. What is the problem? So really at that moment, all I could do was just stand still and accept it. And the sooner that I stood still and accepted the fact that this was probably a temporary issue, that my life was going to expand and go into amazing areas soon enough, that's when everything started lightening up, right? That's when I got to where I got a new position. I was called for work and I was asked to teach over here, teach over there. It's like it all just started happening again. And I'm just thinking, like, why did that happen? But ever since that's happened, I have not had a negative financial situation at all. Like none, not even remotely, right? Even better than I was doing before that time when I thought everything was going well. So if you're on that journey and you're improving things, just know that sometimes it gets a hell of a lot worse before it gets better. But that doesn't mean your financial growth is not happening. So I don't have any tips or tricks, but I just want to talk about money today because it's heavy on my mind. It's so important because I have a beautiful relationship with money now. I have a beautiful level of abundance that I can truly enjoy, and it's steady, it's consistent, and I even see it differently now. It doesn't control my mindset all day, definitely doesn't. And I never think of anything that I want to do or want to have or want to be a part of and put a financial label on top of it. And if you pay attention, so many people do that. Anything you say you're a part of or that you did or you enjoy, they always say how much. And I'm like, dude, stop putting a financial label on everything you want to do. If you tell somebody, oh, I just took a trip to so-and-so. Ooh, how much was that? Why? If you want to go, set an intention to go, start saving some money, and then Google the cost of it. It's like, stop asking everybody the prices of everything. And I'm only saying that because it's blocking you. It's stopping you from being able to expand your horizons and how you view financial abundance in your space. If you're having that trouble, right? Because, sometimes people are just not having that trouble. They're having other troubles. But if financial abundance is one of those things that you have yet to figure out, I'm here to say, hold on. Keep on that financial journey. Get yourself a little forgiveness book if you need to. Watch some really good YouTube videos. One of my favorite books is The Science of Getting Rich. And then another one that a lot of other people love is Think and Grow Rich, which I like, but I love The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, particularly the Bob Proctor version that came out sometime in the 80s, right? Because this knowledge is age-old wisdom. It's very good knowledge. It's fun to talk about if you talk about it in the right light around the right people. And I just wanted to share some information about manifesting good finances and how sometimes it seems a lot worse before it gets better. And just remembering to be generous, and also just remembering that people who are good at finances or who do finances well don't always want to share tips and tricks with you because it's their power. They find power in knowing how to do that well. And then just judging other people and how they don't do it well, but they don't help you with judging, with helping other people actually achieve it, right? And that is the opposite of my goal, right? Anyway, I hope this wasn't all over the place. I just want to talk about money today. Money is good. Money is helpful. Money has expanded my life in so many directions. And it's not just money, it's opportunity. Money can be replaced with freedom. Money can be replaced with peace. Money can be replaced with opportunity. Money can be replaced with enjoyment of experiences, because sometimes those things are hard to have access to when you don't have the financial abundance to create it in your space. Nonetheless, my name is Jameelah. I hope you subscribe and like and share my content, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.